we need to talk. Basically, I've made mistakes. I've made some massive mistakes. I'm going to go through them as fast as possible, and I'm going to tell you how I'm pivoting with how I'm going to be doing content. The TLDR is I want people to make more money. I want them to learn better stuff, and I want them to have an edge. So that's where I'm going to be pushing DeFi for the most part. And I'm going to try stuff, and some things are not going to work out, and some things are going to work out. But I'm also going to tell you in this video, like lessons and stuff that I believe and I think are true, but I don't mention that often in content. And I'm going to tell you when things kind of started to go not so good and why, and what my goal is. What is my goal for this channel, and what is the goal for the viewers? I think the best thing to start off with is like, what is the goal? What's the goal for you? The goal is to grow a channel which is not shilly. I'm not there trying to be like BitBoy or people like that, or talking about a 100x gem. I'm just trying to show you how to do something and do it well. And this kind of inspiration has come from, years ago when I started in the space and I started editing. There was like a Premiere Pro guy, and he's like had like 2-minute tutorials, and he had hundreds of them, and they're just so valuable. You could just get to the point, get to the point, get to the point. It's a little bit more difficult with crypto because if you're going to use a new dApp, you want to know how it's valuable and how it works. But ideally, where is the audit? Like, who are the team? Because that stuff is very, very important. We're not talking about just one. We're not talking about trading as an example. If we're talking about trading, we could cover like this pattern in 2 minutes because it's universal. So unfortunately, the tutorials need to be a little bit longer. But I started years ago of just doing a whole lot of news. And the news was trying to take hours of research and TLDRing it into like 15 minutes or less. That was the goal, so that people could just kind of stay in touch with the ecosystem. Now, I don't think that's necessarily needed because there's so much stuff. People want to just focus on their niche, and that's kind of a given. So the mistakes I've basically made have been to not put in enough time and effort into the channel and to work out what people are really after. This started to happen last year. February, I started helping the Jupiter Uplink team and helped grow their channel a lot. And that was like a part-time basis. It became very much full-time. And I resigned, and like very proud of what I've done, and Jupiter's great, but it was supposed to be quite a minimal amount of effort from me and became quite a massive amount of effort. My mistake is kind of like too much loyalty sometimes and not enough understanding that, I have to be loyal to the people that are watching this video. And now I guess this year, it's just been it's been a whirlwind. This cycle is so different from the previous, and so different from the previous, but the previous 2 cycles were far more similar. The cycle's winner this year, this cycle, is clearly Pumped Up Fun. They've made over $500 million that they've sent and cashed out. It's like 100% the winner. But this has also been like max extract because it's been harder to do things. Binance used to be able to just list a token and it pumped. This is not the case now. I mean, we look at Fartcoin, they listed it, and it went to like $2.8 billion market cap. Then it just shot down to like 200 million. Now it's doing well again. It's probably going to do pretty well because it's an organic, funny meme coin. But there's still a whole lot of risk in here. And what I've mostly been trying to do is I've been trying to like help with Solana content, make good no-shield content, like I said. The unfortunate thing is sometimes I'd make a tutorial or whatever, which is done for free. I just do it. I pay my editors and I do this. And it'd be nice to get like a retweet from the team or something. And that often basically never would happen. And now there's more content creators. So now they've got something to kind of choose from. But in general, most people don't care about content. Most teams don't care about content. Like the vast majority don't care about content. And the vast majority do not know how to explain what their product is in a simple way. And so there's so much complexity. And I have to kind of go in, my team has to go in, we try and work out what it is, why it's valuable, and off we go. And that's really hard. It's very, very time consuming. Most things in all of crypto, they're not going to make it. Of course, they're not going to make it. Even if they've been VC funded, they won't find product market fit because it's not simple enough. It's basically, it's not simple enough, and they don't know how to explain what it is. And there's not a lot of talent actually in it. I don't want to cover a dApp and then go, all right, cool, got an airdrop, great, I'm selling it. But pretty much first 1 to 3 days for all airdrops, that's your time to sell. That's typically how it works. There are outliers, but when you compare it against a base asset like Solana, it's not. It's always better to sell. And if I say that, then there's no way that I'm going to get respect from the teams. But at the same time, I've made a whole lot of free content for them and got nothing in return the vast majority of the time. Anyway, like there's been outliers, like Jupiter has a good cats program. But I mean, even with good cats, I'm in a middle tier and I've made a lot of content. And that's completely fine. They've worked out their system. They're after something very specific. Jupiter's after Jupiter, you only talk about Jupiter. And I don't want that. I want us to make money. I want us to make money because you can't really care about Web3 and decentralization, even though I do, until you've got some money. I don't have much money, but in general, that's kind of how it works. You need to like not worry about your bills, and then you can kind of see, yes, I've got time to look into, there's a war going on and people can't get money out of their banks, but crypto could allow that person to get out of that country, which is important. And like, this is very important. You don't want, like, game over in life is dying, right? So moving forward, it's not going to be daily news. Maybe I can fit in a live stream and people can ask like just questions. I'm not going to know the answer to everything, but it's just going to be tutorial, tutorial, tutorial. And I'm not going to go and say, sell the token. And maybe I will create some paid group where like I have my proper opinions about tokens, but that's not going to be public information. And I'm not going to do that until it's clear that I can provide value just for free, because ultimately I want you to do well. And then I want you to take some of your Solana and stake it with validator.com. And that kind of helps me keep the channel running as well. So I want us to do well. DeFi is really how it's going to go well. There were some pumps previously last year, and I didn't take any profit really on these pumps. And I should have, because in hindsight, a good dApp doesn't mean a good token. Like Camino's killer dApp, killer. And I will keep on using Camino, and I would suggest you use Camino because it's brilliant. But they're not putting any effort into their token yet. And who knows when that's going to happen. One good thing is they can watch what Jupiter's doing, the good things that Jupiter's done, and the mistakes that Jupiter has done, and they can work out, okay, like how do we do this? But even still, this is going to be something that's not solved this cycle. It's going to take probably a few cycles. I'm very bullish on MetaDAO and Futagi because I think this solves it better, but it's harder to understand. And simplifying this sort of stuff is hard. So this is like kind of the playlist of how I reckon you're going to make it. If you trade with leverage, you're most likely going to be hurt and you're going to not win. If you go with like low leverage, and of course nothing's financial advice, but if it's low leverage, like 1.5x, 2x or whatever, you start to accumulate points with Flash Trade or Ranger Finance or Drift or Jupe, and that gives you some sort of airdrop. Cool. And you want to be profitable, right? Probably not too greedy. Then fine. But if it starts to go higher leverage until you really know what you're doing, and if you're only watching charts and only learning TA, then maybe you'll make it. But I have a general rule that you need to put in 10 times the amount of effort as compared to the person next to you. You can't rely on this luck. This idea of like $1,000 into whiff, and then fantastic $1,000 into whiff, turns into $1 million. Those days are largely gone. And if you see it happen, it's a lottery win. It's someone has failed 5,000 times and they've won once. So moving forward, it's just going to be DeFi. It's going to be Meteora. It's going to be trying new dApps because I think there's airdrop potential. Plus, we may fall in love with the dApp and think this has so much product market fit. Like right now, I think Humor Finance has a whole lot of product market fit. It's got a fantastic audit done by one of the most reputable companies in the world. And it's a pretty cool point system. It's going to have a token launch, which is happening on Jupiter. Jupiter's changing everything. The token is not doing well. The product is doing well. The token probably will do well. There was too much transparency. They made mistakes, which I would say were kind of obvious. But people need to make their own mistakes. I need to make my own mistakes. I'm very happy to have the feedback, and I get a lot of feedback. But I want a channel which is being watched by hundreds of thousands, and it just shows you how to do basic stuff. And then we do some DeFi stuff. We make some gains and whatnot. My goal is who knows when the end of the cycle is going to be? No one actually does, but there will be signs. So we're going to pay attention to those signs, and I'll be watching other creators that are very good at trading or very good at spotting cycles. And I'll focus on my skill, which is just explaining, like I'm 10 years old, how to use a dApp and clicking on the buttons and how the UI works and where to find the audit and all that basic stuff. And I'm happy with that because I think that's valuable. You will highly likely get an airdrop. And if we LP things in a particular range, and if we get in, get out, make gains, go to the next thing, get in, get out, make gains, we will grow our bag. So my 10K to 100K challenge, I try to set it up in a way that I thought would work, but then the narrative changed. And it was profitable. It did well, but then like meme coins just took over. Some of the tokens we'd bought, they weren't getting enough organic traction on Twitter. They weren't succeeding in that way. They weren't putting in effort into the token. I think a token really just the dApp needs to have decent revenue, proper decent revenue. It needs to be a blue chip. It needs to be able to survive the bear market. And they need to use some profits, like Jupiter's doing, to buy back the token. Whether or not that's like a good system long-term, Masari has a different viewpoint on it. It doesn't always work. Radium did it. Didn't work out for them. So in some ways, your best bet is just to bet on like becoming a super app. And that kind of hurts other apps, but that's what you really want. You want to become the Google, the Microsoft, the Apple. You want everything to be on one dApp. And it makes it far harder for other players, but that's what will give a token a kind of appreciation. That and good tokenomics and buy pressure. Governance is massive, but the world isn't ready for governance. As I said, I think MetaDAO governance will do well, and I'm going to back that because I believe in those sort of things. There's some things which I really believe in. MetaDAO is one of them. Mountain DAO, I think, is very, very cool. But for now, like, make money and then take profits and manage losses, portfolio management. I haven't covered that. I said I would. I haven't done it. So these are the things I'm going to do. Sometimes I'm just going to talk to the camera. And if you watch it, you watch it. And if you disagree, you disagree. I'm going to read the comments. And then I will respond or change the way. So if you have feedback, good or bad, just flick it in there. In the past, the major mistakes I've made is I've tried to give an audience to these founders and whatnot, which I think is very important for Solana. And it's very important for the ecosystem. But unfortunately, this means that if I cover a podcast with somebody and they've got a token, it's like giving approval of that token or that NFT. And that's not the case. Right now, DeFi Dungeons, it's below floor price. I still think these things are very important for me to cover. And like there are things that I've been covering that have been very profitable. You still have to understand that, like, I guess the vast majority of the time, if you buy an NFT or if you get a pre-sale and you sell it and there's hype, your first day is your best day to sell it, typically. If you do that all the time, previous cycle, that's how you win. Same with a meme coin. If you buy a meme coin and you sell it for 15, 20%, that's a win. You get out, you get into the next one. If you can DLM it and make 50%, that's a win. If it goes up 50x, who cares? You could have a small moon bag if you want to, and you could start to take profits along the way. But most of the time, there's 20, 30,000 tokens being released every day. They will not do well. There's going to be Ponzi's, there's going to be max extract, there's going to be KOLs shilling crap. And I'm not going to do that. I just want to make profitable gains. The last thing I'm going to tell you is my history. It's going to be a very quick history, but I started in crypto in 2017 and followed Bitcoin from before that. And I started to watch Bitcoin's price from 2016. Got involved in 2017, started making tutorials in 2020. I didn't make tutorials because I wanted to. I made tutorials because people were like, how do I do this? How do I do this? How do I do this? And no one had those covered. And so I thought I would. And that was my skill set. That is my skill set, DeFi, and that's what I want to stick to. The news, I think we can go somewhere else. I don't think it's valuable. You can skip a tutorial as well. If it doesn't interest you, you can skip it. If it ends up being a fantastic tutorial, fine. Like a fantastic airdrop, fine. If it makes people money, fine. It's not going to be an endorsement of the dApp. It's going to be a walkthrough of the dApp. And if they have an exploit or something, well, we want to protect against that, but these will happen. These unfortunately will happen. So anyway, I started in 2020, made some stuff related to Ethereum, Binance Smart Chain, and Polygon. And then Solana kind of came along. I started making some stuff on Radium. Then I did a tutorial on Phantom Wallet. Then Phantom reached out and said, hey, we need someone to do our support. So I did their support from 30,000 users to 1.5 million. Parted ways, but while I was there, I said, let's make some videos because people don't want they're not going to like read it, like in a ticket or in Discord of how to do it. Like text is not as easy as a video. And this remains true to this day. And they said, no, we don't want to do that. So I was like, okay, well, I'll do it on my own time. And so I spent a whole lot of time just making Phantom tutorials, Solana tutorials, whatever. All that basically put a lot of value to Phantom. And I gained some subscribers, but nothing was monetized at any stage. Now you're probably starting to see that I'm covering Sui or Sonic or whatever. And the truth is, I'll cover anything where there's good DeFi, Bear Chain, Sonic, but mostly I think it's going to be Solana and Sui. There'll be other chains that will pop up, like Fogo Chain. It's looking really, really good. We'll talk about another day. So if you've only come for the Solana stuff, just keep in mind that this is a niche. And if you're offended or upset that I'm talking about Sui, the vast majority of my effort is on Solana. And I do want you to stake your soul with Validator.com. But Validator.com does want to expand to other blockchains. Just Solana has the most potential and it gets the vast majority of my effort. But in general, there's like a sea of blockchains. This is why Jupiter's performing or creating JupeNet, where it can buy and sell tokens all over the show. This is why I like Infinex. You can go and buy Bonk from Ethereum on Optimism. And they do it it's done incredibly. They call it switching. Infinex is a game changer. And these are the sort of things that are really cool. Peak network is a deepened network, which is really cool. I would much rather people get involved across so many different things, find out what they like, as opposed to just being married to one blockchain, because blockchains are kind of like countries. You are allowed to travel. You're also allowed to have your favorite place. My favorite place is Solana. This is my Portugal. Favorite place is Solana, but sometimes I may want to go and travel to Aruba. And Aruba could be, or Thailand. Thailand could be Sui, as an example. So I will be covering a whole lot of things that are not supposed to be endorsements. They're just showing you how to do stuff. If you want to get amongst it, get amongst it. And that's how I think we're going to learn. We're going to learn, we're going to find opportunities, and I'll try and cover more of like what I'm getting into and what I'm getting out to. But all that happens so fast. I'm ultimately just trying to teach you stuff of like, get in here, and I can't really say in a tutorial, if you make, 10%, maybe you want to pull out and go somewhere else. Because I also want people to rely on that tutorial and whatnot. So maybe I'll do a separate video, which always links back to just DeFi goals. In general, if you want to make money, unfortunately, we are far in this society, this crypto society of cheating. Take profits, take profits, take profits, take profits. If it does a 50x, too bad. Just take profits, take profits, take profits. Rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. That's how people are making it. Unfortunately, that's how it's going to be for the foreseeable future. Governance will have its heyday. I don't think it's going to be this cycle. Some tokens will do well. I think Jupe will do well. But if Jupe goes to 90 cents or 70 cents and you think, okay, I want to sell some, fine. There's no sell shaming here. There's no sell shaming on anything. It's up to the DApp to be profitable. The token kind of gets alignment, and it should be a large portion of the founder's mindset to make the token go up. You can't say that, but they want to create more value for their DApp, for their project, which leads to value appreciation of that particular token. So that are my thoughts. Let me know if you disagree, or if you agree. You're going to not see as much news. If you're unhappy about that, you can still tell me, but I think this is the right way forward. Like, let's do DeFi right. Let's learn everything about Meteor. Let's learn everything about Solana dApps and Sui dApps. And let's just try and get us to a stage where when the cycle starts to end, we know we've already made a lot. We know how to hedge. They're my thoughts. Let me know if you disagree or if you agree. It's just the direction I'm going. In the meantime, subscribe. I think it's going to be probably worth it, honestly. And then over here, 2 other videos. Check them out, but more videos will be coming.